talking about the Democrats.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
Sarah, I have to say this response, okay, I hear what you're saying, that's true. But every single Democrat in the Senate and the House voted against this stuff.
Right.
So I understand what you're saying. It hasn't been, I agree with you, it hasn't been vociferous enough. But we need to be careful about how we throw shade on Democrats who argue.
I'm not going to be careful throwing shade about the people in power. They are the people in power. I'm not. So I'm not going to worry about throwing shade at the Democrats. They are the people who are supposed to do their jobs. They may not have the majority to get those votes through the House and Senate, but whose fault is that? I mean,
It's our fault.
no, it's not the vote. It is not the voters' fault. It is not the voters' fault. Not primarily, anyway. The Democratic Party does not try hard enough to get people who people want to vote for in office, first of all. They are often controlled opposition. They don't actually work to be true opposition to the Republican Party. This goes much deeper than people not voting. Much deeper.
Do we have a local representation of the ACLU here in Salina?
Yeah, we did, didn't we? We used to.
I don't think local. I mean, I think she's in this area. There used, I thought her last name was Martin, something Martin. And I thought she was maybe out of Manhattan or somewhere there. But that's been 4 or 5 years ago that she's been here and spoke to us. We were in the McKinsey Center across the street.
There was another. Did anyone else have anything to say on that one? There's another question up front here.
No, I was just going to make a comment. I can't remember the gentleman's name now that's running for the mayor of New York City. But one thing that really has bothered me as a more liberal member of the Democratic Party, considering becoming a Democratic Socialist, is the way that the Bernie-crats, for example, were expected to get on board and support the moderates, but when we get someone in the Bernie-crat range that's running, all of a sudden, it's the vote blue no matter who.
That's absolutely true. We get candidates who are farther left than the mainstream Democratic Party who have popular support, and the Democratic Party sabotages them. The Democratic Party undercuts them, like they've done with Mamdani in New York City, like they have done with many people who have ran farther left than the mainstream Democratic Party. So if we want Democrats to win, they have to pay attention to what people actually want, and what people want is something farther left than what they're doing.
Right.
Floor is open. If anyone has it, go ahead.
The banner you have there, is that available in a bumper sticker?
It actually is. So the artist, yes, yeah. So the artist is Julie Cates, who owns On the Pot. Yeah, she's amazing. And if you go to the On the Pot website, they're selling shirts and bumper stickers, and then just regular stickers too. Okay. But it's all through them.
Cool.
Anyone else? Got plenty of time for more questions. We've got the room for another hour. So, you know, there's lots going on in the world right now. I'm sure lots on all of your minds. So, you know, anything you want to bring up? Go ahead.
Jim Finn here. So I go to several meetings, and I almost never see any African Americans here. So what? I don't understand that. What's going on?
You don't understand it? We're done.
Again.
92% of black women did not support this crap. We're done. And you know, I tell people all the time with the protests, I will not. I refuse. I admire anybody that wants to do it, but I'm not about to get out there and give them a reason to kill me.
Sandy, is there anything that we should be doing that we're not doing to reach out to everybody in this community?
You know, there are so many different and varying opinions about what needs to be done, and the only thing that I can advise is to keep talking to people. You know, I have talked to other black African American women. As a matter of fact, we had a "It's Not My Fault" party at my house after this election. We sure did. But, you know, it might not be my fault, but I still have to live in this suit.
Yeah.
So how do we find a way to deal with this? And that means helping people to understand, you know, when you talk about unions in particular, I remember when Phillips was open and people were up in arms about no union at Phillips. You know, they didn't want it, they didn't want it, they didn't want it. And I didn't understand that. You know, my husband worked for Beach Aircraft. He was part of a union. And I don't think people understand that sometimes, not sometimes, everybody that's out there working on those floors should have a voice. Because the only way Jeff Bezos could afford a $55 million wedding is by not paying the people that work for him every day to really have a life. They have a job, but they don't have a life. So how can we get people to understand that without that voice, and you know, she's saying farther left, I don't know if it's left, right, or center. All I know is that there's 1% of the population running the world.
That's right.
And that needs to change. Now, how we're going to change that, I don't have all the answers. But I'm real loud about the fact that I'm sick and tired of it. So we've got to get to a place where we can not only be sick and tired and frustrated, but put some plans in mind to change it.
Yes.
You know, Eric Adams is a Democrat. I wouldn't vote for him if he was the last human being on the planet. You know, I'm not voting for somebody just because they're a Democrat or a Republican. I'm not voting for somebody just because they're younger or older. I'm voting for somebody because they seem to have compassion. They seem to care about other people. They're willing to work at the job that they signed up for, and they're not worrying about their own damn pocketbook.
Right.
Now, if government insurance is good enough for everybody working for the government, then it should be good enough for every citizen in the United States.
That's right.
You know, but they keep wanting to tear this down. School funding should not be an issue. There should not be a school in the United States worried about whether or not that jackass is going to take their funding because of DEI.
Right.
Amen. That shouldn't be going on, but that's what we're looking at now.
We're looking at it, yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to live long enough to change this, but we've got to get something in motion. When Micah Kubik was here from the ACLU a couple weeks ago, one of the things that he was saying is about the way that we're going to be putting judges in place. Now, the way it's written, it looks like a good idea for you to be able to vote on this. But, anybody that wants to get in touch with me, I'll give you the email link because Paula Freed wrote it all out. It's spelled out beautifully why we shouldn't do what they're trying to make us do. But see, most people don't read the fine print. They're going to vote on it because, oh, you know, so-and-so said that it's not a good idea for us to do that. Well, have you read the whole thing?
That's why we need to get the word out somehow.
Right.
And Sarah, did you have?
I was just wanting to agree with your comments, bringing all of this back to unionizing. So much of the work that we could be doing politically comes down to our organization as workers and unionizing. If more workplaces were unionized, they would have so much more control in their community because they could, I mean, literally stop working and show their community what happens when they stop working. That is how we get things done. And it's not just by voting, it is by organizing as workers. We are the working class. Most of us work. The vast majority of us work. And if we organize as workers, we can actually do things.
And when you have companies that offer like shareholding or ownership, where you have people that work that are part owners in that business, statistics have shown those workers are happier, they're more invested, the company survives better, it profits better, because everybody has a stake in it. You know, people here, they hear about something like that and it's like, oh, I don't want anybody telling me, you know, what are you afraid of? Well, part of it is they really don't want you living next door to them. They're going to keep you poor, so you can't live in their neighborhood.
Right,
You know, we're going to build more jails because we don't want you to prosper.
right.
Is anybody in here worried about what's going to happen when they get through deporting all the immigrants?
Well, it's
I'm
already
not. They're
happened.
just going to, no, I'm not worried about it because you know what they're going to do? They're going to open those prisons, and those prisoners are going to get paid 15 cents an hour, and the damn prison is going to get $25 an hour for their prisoners' labor. If you think I'm joking, watch them.
Well, I know two that just had that experience in the last week,
Yeah.
and they were deported.
I've got a couple of
Sent
families.
somewhere, I don't know where they were
Yeah,
sent.
I've got a couple of families right here. I used to work for Head Start as
Yeah.
a social worker. I've got a couple of families right here now that I'm scared.
Yeah,
They've been here for 30 years. They've worked in
Yeah.
this community. They've raised their children here. They're good people.
so were these people too, they were working and paying taxes.
Yeah, because you and I used to work in the same place.
But anyway, somebody noticed them and picked up a phone and
Yes.
called ICE on them. And
Yes.
they were deported.
And now they're looking at
That's here in
Haitians.
Salina.
Yeah, now they're looking at Haitians and Jamaicans, but nobody's talking about the Russians or the Germans or the English or the Swedish that come here every day and don't go back home,
Right,
but they're the right color.
right.
Yes.
Or the criminals they're supposed to be looking for.
They're not
You
looking
don't
for
do that.
criminals, you're the wrong
They're
color.
the wrong,
Yeah.
you're right about the color being the
Mhm.
determining factor.
I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah, interesting.
I want to say,
Sir, actually, I was.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I'll be quick.
Go, Mama,
I'll be
go.
quick. I just want to backtrack to what you were talking about, Sandy, with the upcoming, you know, in 26, the, I think it's, yeah, it's not till 26, right? The judge initiative thing, right? So I do think that it's going to be so very important for us to educate people, because if you think back to, you know, the vote about the, like, the abortion bans and such, they always word those initiatives so that the average person can read it 3 times and still not know what the hell they just read. And so we need to make it very clear that to people, you know, make it simple for them. If you want this, this, and this, and not this, this, and this, this is how you need to vote. We need to really, really drive that home, because people get confused, and, you know, everybody in this room is paying attention or they wouldn't be here, right? But we all know so many people that are not paying attention and that have certain beliefs in their head that we know are not true. But it's up to us to educate people, and I think that that's going to have to be a really big part of what we do in our own community, because we've got to make people understand that it starts at the local level. And if you ignore that part of the government system, then we're already behind. And so I just think it's really important to help people understand what exactly they are voting for when they check those boxes.
But if you need my email address or whatever, I'll give it to everybody, and I can send this to you, because he really did give a very good explanation about how that thing is worded and how to read it.
I found one online last night that I screenshotted because it was like, yes, this.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that some of the planning will be done on this already, but how it is categorized is very important. None of your points are really well taken. If we call it the Judges for Sale Initiative, that will get people's attention. So that was just a brief comment. I wanted in support of what y'all were saying up there, Sandy, Sarah, everybody. There is a program through PBS, simple program. It's an independent lens film documentary called Union. Have you seen it, Sandy? I think maybe.
No, but I've been talking about
it
it
is
so
about
earlier.
Eric Smalls, who organized the Amazon warehouse in Staten Island, New York. It's a discouraging film on the one hand, but it's a heartening story about what you're talking about, Sarah, about workers standing up to the man. And particularly in Salina with an Amazon fulfillment center, another example of language coming in, making people aware that we have a slave economy here, and workers have to have every right, and that includes all of us eventually.
Would any panelists like to respond to that, or should we move on to the next question?
I agree with you, David. Yeah.
We're on, girl.
What he said.
We'll go back here and then up front after.
This is kind of reiterate about what Mona had said of translating a bill. I was a capital intern in 2022 when the Value Vote Amendment was around, and when I remember where I was, the time it went out, and I remember looking at the bill and I was like, this is disgusting. Because being a capital intern, you're read in on every bill. You get the definitions, you get all the lingo in between, but when you're trying to communicate that to other young people that are women, that are my age, they're gonna look at you stupid, like, what did you just say? And I had another really smart person, Alexis Simmons, who's in the Kansas House of Representatives right now, kind of dumb it down for me because I have to have it dumbed down, and she just explained it. They're gonna ban abortion. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important that that when this Supreme Court thing comes around, and it will, and it won't be the last, that we do translate it. We translate it as much as we possibly can. And that's
very important.
So I will just say to that, with translating a bill, I don't think it should just come down to one distilled sentence like they're going to ban abortion, because even as someone who would say, oh, I don't want to ban abortion, I'm not going to vote for that, I want to know the mechanics of that. I want to know, oh, they're going to remove that from the Constitution so that they can ban abortion, and or whatever the mechanics are. Because if someone just, well, they're going to ban abortion, it just, for me anyway, it kind of introduces a level of oversimplicity that lends to a little bit of distrust. I want details. I think a lot of voters want details. I think kind of distilling it to a simple statement like that kind of, I think, raises red flags for a lot of people. So we do have to have a translation that is thorough and detailed so that we don't kind of raise people's alarms of, oh, that sounds a little bit too simple. I don't know about that, which is how I would react if someone said, well, they're going to ban abortion. But I would want to know more. Like, tell me more. Tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
Janice, did you
I
want
was
to say?
just gonna say, yes, there are some people like that, but there are some people that just need to know they're gonna ban it.
flat out. They don't.
Flat out, that's all they need
You're
to
an
know.
average voter. You could be sitting here talking about mechanics all day long, and they'd still be looking at you stupid. Like, what did you just
I
tell me?
don't agree with that. I don't think the average voter is.
I didn't say average.
Some
I said
people,
there are some
there are
people.
some people.
Raiden said average, and I don't agree with that the average voter does not want more details about what they're voting for.
And I will respect.
We just want to be able to understand what we're
Because the
voting
way
for.
my brain works, I need it very simple. So there's both worlds. It's just, you have to have one sentence for this one and another sentence for the next person.
That's exactly right.
So it's just compromise,
There's no one
but
size fits all.
respectfully.
No average person is going to knock on the door and you're like, okay, give me all the details. You're going to spill it all out, and they're just going to get distracted and be like, okay, whatever. And they're
I
not
think
going to go
there's
for it.
a middle ground between saying they're going to ban abortion. I really can't tell you anything more about it in a way that's digestible, but they're going to ban abortion. I think there should be a way to have a digestible set of information that also goes into more detail, because you have to strike an average. I don't think that, like you guys are saying, oh, there's no one size fits all. I don't think you can default to the most basic fact. I think you have to have a set of facts that the average person can understand. And it doesn't mean you have to dive into theory or constitutional law or anything like that, but you have to have more details than just a piece of propaganda, basically.
Well, and I want to know what comes next.
Yeah.
They
Yes,
do
what
this,
the
what comes
implication, what the
next?
following implications are,
Right.
yes.
What do I lose next?
Yeah.
I think it's like,
Hang on,
Let's
Joan
grab
has
another
been
question
waiting.
here.
Yeah, Joan has been waiting.
Yeah, it's not really a question. I just so regret not having been here the first half hour and missing it. Is there any chance that any of this was recorded?
Yeah, we are recording it. We've been putting clips up. We haven't made the whole thing available yet, but for the previous ones. But on our YouTube channel and on our TikTok, we've got a few videos from the Wichita one, and we'll have some from Topeka and Salina coming up too.
I'm
And if
glad
you-
to hear that.
Yeah,
So I'll be looking.
great, great.
So we were talking earlier about unions and about the amendment to change how we come up with our judges. And I think it's important to include our history, to know why we don't elect judges now, because the state used to.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
And the history of